Hey everybody, this is Andrew Jones and it's time for an Artcast. This one is just a little digital painting practice I was doing the other night. Was just trying to think of something to do and specifically something to play around with more digital painting, trying to get better at that. And this is thing of this character that I've had following me around since high school. And his name is Thundermutt, and gone through a lot of evolution since then. He started out to be this really cartoony, dog person character. I don't know how to even describe it. Then he kind of morphed into this, much darker Batman-like type hero, and I've written a bunch of stories. I actually had a few stories featuring him in the school newspaper that were organized as like a serial adventure kind of thing, which was mostly just writing and a few little spot illustrations of the character here and there. But of course, the kids seemed to like it, and it was a fun little thing. And then later, when I was in my early 20s, I decided I wanted to see if I could make a comic book, and ended up doing an issue 1 of Thundermutt that was like, I can't remember, I think it was like 12 pages or something, and really was just an exercise to see if I could do it. Could I write and draw and publish my own comic book? And this was in what year was it? I think I have a copy here somewhere. Okay, this is one of the bad photocopy reprints, but this is issue 1. This was in August '96. Well, this was the second printing I did. So yeah, it was me just drawing out the art on I think 11 by 17 copy paper, just pen ink, and this was in my big obsession with Todd McFarlane, and you can probably see some of that in the art. But I try to my attempts to do backgrounds, which is my least favorite thing in the world to do, but very basic kind of vigilante story kind of thing. Wasn't really about doing a good story per se. I just wanted to see if I could do it, to be honest. And so I'd actually drawn these out on fairly big paper, and then the text, this was before I even had a computer. Text was actually, I had a little electronic typewriter, and I would do all the dialogue, type it all out, cut out all the dialogue, and paste it to the places where I had already put tunes. And basically just glitter. And then all that, and there was this place near my apartment called Mailboxes, etc., which it was kind of like a place to have your own mailboxes, but also they had a lot of copy machines and stuff, and I just reduced them down and copied them all on a photocopier and stapled them all myself, and basically sold, the first run I think was 200, and I sold all of them at a local comic shop, and I was pretty proud of that. By the way, talking about this painting here, I didn't get to say anything about it, but the first kind of hairstyle he had there was what he had always had, was this kind of like long flowing mane of hair. I thought maybe he would look a little better with shorter hair, so as part of a potential redesign, he's got a new haircut. But he's always had this kind of look, this kind of this kind of flat snout, um, um, the big jaw, the big neck. Always had the mask. I don't know why he wore a mask. I mean, he's probably the only big dog face person you would encounter. But it looked cool. And this here is me just realizing I've got a lot to learn about how to use Photoshop brushes and the different settings and stuff. Just trying to get all that right. I think a lot of the digital painting and stuff is, I mean, I can watch people do it all day on YouTube, but without them really explaining it step by step, you kind of just have to, and then kind of extrapolate what you think they're doing, and then just kind of add your own style. There's no other way around it. Unless I had someone looking over my shoulder telling me step by step what they're doing or what I should do. I think that's the only way you're going to do it. And it's the only way for you to get your own style, I think. So I'm just kind of playing here. But yeah, I sold that first run out, and then I had done a second printing. I forget how much. Maybe it was another 100 or 200, but I think the second printing sold out as well. But there never was a number 2. I think by the time I got done with this first one, I think maybe it kind of wore me out. I don't know if I was prepared to try another one. And again, this was before I started my career as a web developer. So this was 96. I'm pretty sure I didn't even have a computer, much less the internet, when I first did this. If the internet had been a thing, who knows, I might have kept up with it a little better. But yeah, I mean, from then on, Thundermutt just kind of went away. I never really did much with it. I always kind of wanted to, but then I felt like I couldn't come up with. I like the character as a concept and the look, but I just couldn't think of any decent story or reason for this character to exist that I felt was worth diving into. And I've almost resurrected it so many times, but then I'll do a few drawings and then just realize I don't have a single idea, much less an origin story or anything like that. But I almost did a couple years ago. I really felt like I had some good enough ideas because I thought originally this character would be the only animal character or animal human hybrid character in this world. And then I started thinking, I think it would be really fun if every character was an animal character, and where Thundermutt is, basically, just another kind of like Batman. Batman is still a man, so Thundermutt would still be an animal in this animal world, but has chosen, for whatever reason, the path that he's on. A really cool idea for his nemesis to be this big bear character, which I love drawing bears, so that really kind of appealed to me. But again, I got busy with other things, and I just really wasn't confident enough that I could come up with something that would be able to carry an actual story. So I don't know. I bounced around with few different things, even like the tone, because I originally had meant it to be this super serious, dark thing, and then I started thinking, if it's going to be all animals, maybe I could make it a little lighter. I had started. I'd picked up a copy of this comic called Hero Bear. this very, it has a very kind of cartoony, um, black and white line art look to it. But it has kind of a interesting tone that it's not, campy or cartoony, but it's not dead serious either. And I started to think I could probably do that. Maybe I could pull that off. And I definitely want to, do more with my art. I definitely want to, start bringing in some more money with the art. And I really, as much as I love doing the fan art type stuff, I know that it's not a sustaining proposition. I mean, I'll still do it for fun, of course, but I really would love to have something of my own, which is something I loved when I was doing my comic strip, but a strip is just too, it's just too intensive time-wise for me to really. If you're gonna do a strip, you need to stick with it. You need to have a schedule. You need to publish when you say you're going to publish, and I have just never been able to make that work. So here at this point, I'm trying to use. I only use this one round brush, and I've got hotkeys set up on my Cintiq tablet that will let me easily. I don't even remember what it is now. I think it's Option Command on a Mac. If you hold that down, if you move your pen up and down, it changes the opacity, and if you move it left right, it changes the brush size, which is a really helpful shortcut to not have to constantly go back to your brushes palette or to even hit the bracket keys to try to make your brush bigger. So I do that a lot just to kind of give me some sharp or soft edges. Here what I'm doing is putting in that base fur color and then using the dodge and burn tools to give me some highlights and shadow colors, just as sort of a really quick kind of skin tone palette for him. And still here the brush is still pretty big, still pretty blocky. Just trying to figure out where these shadows go. I think a lot of the trouble I'm having right now is I don't feel comfortable with hard edges on these paintings, so I tend to make them too soft. And I hate seeing digital art that's you can tell it's like they used a really soft brush for the whole thing. The whole thing just looks fuzzy. It just looks foggy. And I hate that look, and then I find myself doing it, almost looks like you're afraid of seeing a brush stroke when that's the whole point. And I've also got to learn to not be afraid of color so much. There should be color variations in this fur, and right now I'm just using the same lights and darks of that same color. I think I'll get better at that over time, especially as I study more paintings and do more paintings. I think I'll get a better hang of that. By the way, I'll post links to this in the YouTube notes below this video. You can actually get a copy of this. I've tried to put it up for free. I think it's free on Etsy. Maybe not. There's a lot of places just buy item for free. Places wouldn't do it for free. It's just not 99 cents I could get something in there. If you really want to see this masterpiece, I'll post links to where and you can just download it as a PDF. I'm still really proud of what I accomplished at the time. I kind of shudder a little bit to look at it now, but it kind of makes me want to try it again. Everything's getting rebooted these days anyway, so why not mine? And here I'm just softening up these original hard lines a little bit. Once I get really good at this, assuming that I will, I definitely want to do a series of longer videos, because I think one of the things that I wish other artists would do, people that I follow on YouTube that do really incredible paintings, as much as they might not think that it's worth doing, I would really like to see, like, a couple hours worth of this person just sitting in front of me painting, but not just painting, telling me what they're using, why they're using it. That would be so helpful. I mean, I could do that here, but I'm pretty sure most of what I'm doing is wrong at this point. So take from this at your own risk. But really, a lot of this softening this up is just taking, color picking that same color, but using a softer brush with a lower opacity to kind of soften it out a little bit. I mean, I probably could use, I've not really used like the smudge tool or anything for anything like that. I probably should. I'm actually recording this and rewatching this 2 or 3 days after doing this piece, and there's parts of it that I that aren't as bad as I thought they were. The other thing I need to get better with about these paintings is, um, experimenting with other brushes. I like the idea of sticking with just a basic round brush most of the time. But there was places here, like I would have liked to have gone into this one after this base painting was done and added some texture, maybe something that looks more like fur. But I'm just not, and I've got a bunch of brushes, but um, I guess I just haven't had enough time, with texture brushes or fur effects or whatever to really try to do that. It never seems to turn out quite right. Or I think that would have been like a really good um, finishing effect to just run a few textures over it to make it look more like fur, but I had no idea what to use. And here in these highlights, I'm kind of suggesting fur by just, these sort of random lines, but it's not quite what I had in mind. And even with those lines, I think it's kind of blurring a line between what's drawing and what's painting. I want them to feel like they're painted and not that I've just drawn lines. So if you'll see in the layers palette, I've got separate layers for his mask, the bulk of his face and his hair, and then his ears. Um, I'm not quite confident enough to have everything on one layer at a time. So I'm doing the base. The base is on one level, and then those other three layers are above it in a masking layer, um, or what is that? It's a clipping layer, I think. Um, and a lot of that's just to keep me from messing up too much, because I have a hard time, like if I'm painting part of the face, getting some of the, especially if it's a soft, semi-transparent brush, having troubles with that bleeding over into the ear or bleeding into the mask. If I keep them separate, I don't have to worry about that. But then um, the problem with keeping them separate is, sometimes you don't get the paint close enough to one. So you can see right now around the left side of that ear, that you can kind of see there's a white line there that kind of goes around, and that's where I haven't gotten it close enough to it. Or I think the main base color underneath doesn't extend that far, so the colors and the clipping mask above it don't extend that far either, if that makes any sense. I think I do go back and fix that, but it definitely gave me more ideas of what to watch for and how to block in that base layer the first time, and then I don't run into these problems again. So, lesson learned. It's all good. I've always debated whether he should have like full-on whiskers, but I just like those little three dots, that impression. Here's where I'm going back and cleaning up some of those edges, because the brush I used to block in that color was not the right brush to use. It was more an airbrush, and it didn't leave a solid line, which I should have done. So I'm just going in and cleaning up some of that. Again, trying to clean up some of these transition lines from one color to another. I think over time, everybody just kind of figures out their own way to handle this kind of thing. Now I'm catching myself just watching myself paint. I'm sure that's fascinating. So speaking of Thundermutt and some blasts from the past, I've got an idea for another episode coming up that's going to be a real blast from the past. I've had some people ask about showing old artwork or, where I've been artistically, and I got a couple ideas for some things I might bust out and show you guys. See, here's me trying to figure out how to use a different kind of brush to add some texture, and I very quickly gave up. And here's just a a separate layer just to add in some overall shadows, which I may have gone a little too far on, but so I kind of like how this came out. This is just the kind of head study for him. I didn't finish any of the rest of the body or anything, and frankly, I'm not sure that I will come back to this. Probably just move on to the next thing that I want to paint. I've got some other ideas, but this was kind of a fun exercise, just something random to do for some practice. I might do more of him, or I might try to do a little bit more design on the bear character that would end up being his nemesis. So I may actually come back to that, but you never know. You might see more of this guy coming up. Also, I'm going to do another video. Well, my most popular video to date has been my very first one, which was a studio tour, which has gotten, last I checked, 4,500 views, which continues to be crazy. But I need to do another one because I've totally redone my whole space. I still don't have a lot of stuff on the walls, but it's really come together, and I'm really super happy with it. So I'll definitely show you that in another video. But this is it. Had a lot of fun doing this, and thanks for watching.